January 1944. For the men of the 8th Air Force, this date marked the beginning of a terrifying gamble. The autumn skies of the previous year had been catastrophic. Every deep penetration raid into Germany was met by the relentless Luftwaffe, culminating in the single most terrifying day known as Black Thursday. The American bomber campaign was deadlocked, bled white by superior German fighter defense. But when Major General Jimmy Doolittle took command, he issued a radical, controversial order. It was a tactical change that terrified bomber crews but revolutionized aerial warfare forever. This reckless decision would systematically destroy German air superiority and win the war in the skies in just 6 weeks. To grasp the audacity of Doolittle's plan, one must grasp the despair that preceded it. The American strategy of massive, unescorted daylight bomber raids was failing spectacularly. The objective was German industry, but the immediate executioner was the Jagdwaffe, the German fighter defense. The crisis peaked on October 14, 1943, the infamous Second Schweinfurt raid. That day, the 8th Air Force lost 60 B-17s with hundreds of casualties. The losses were deemed unsustainable, forcing the deep bomber offensive to halt. Into this atmosphere of defeat stepped Major General Jimmy Doolittle in January 1944. Doolittle, already a legend for his daring 1942 raid on Tokyo, was not a man for rigid convention. He looked at the vast, deadly skies over Germany and realized the error. The Allies were playing defense. They were only seeking to protect the bombers. Doolittle recognized that the true goal wasn't just to strike factories, it was to find and destroy the German fighter pilots. His new directive would change the entire equation. Doolittle's controversial order was simple and brutal. The fighter's primary function is to destroy enemy fighters. This was made possible by the arrival of the revolutionary P-51 Mustang. With its Rolls-Royce Merlin engine and external drop tanks, the Mustang had the range to escort the bombers all the way to Berlin and back, a breakthrough the Germans hadn't anticipated. Doolittle's tactic, pioneered by men like Colonel Don Blakesley, was to intentionally use the bomber formations as bait. As the formations crossed the enemy coast, the P-51s were ordered to drop their fuel tanks and roam ahead, a free hunter tactic. They were no longer leashed to the lumbering bombers. They became aggressive wolf packs. The tension was immense. Bomber crews who had just suffered Black Thursday watched their fighter escorts disappear, leaving them seemingly naked over enemy territory. This terror, however, was strategic. German High Command, spotting the apparently unescorted formations, frantically committed its remaining fighters to what they believed would be an easy kill. Instead, they flew directly into the jaws of men like Captain Chuck Yeager and Captain Don Gentile. The American fighter pilots relentlessly chased the German defenders down to the deck, engaging them over their own airfields and even strafing planes during takeoff. This constant, aggressive pursuit meant the German pilots, the irreplaceable combat veterans and instructors, were being destroyed faster than the Luftwaffe could train replacements. This calculated campaign of attrition exploded into a decisive 6-day battle dubbed Operation Argument, or Big Week, starting on February 20, 1944. The Allies launched continuous, heavy, multi-pronged attacks against German aircraft production hubs. The goal was twofold: destroy the factories and, more importantly, force the Luftwaffe to fight a final, pitched battle. The Germans rose to the defense in massive numbers, only to be overwhelmed. The skies over Schweinfurt, Leipzig, and other key targets became a relentless killing zone. Thanks to Doolittle's aggressive policy, the P-51s were ready to engage anywhere and everywhere. The Americans destroyed over 600 German fighter planes during Big Week, with countless more shattered on the ground. The German command could rebuild factories and produce more planes, but the core of their defense, the veteran pilots, the German aces, was annihilated. Big Week successfully transitioned the air war from a fight for target destruction to a battle for attrition of pilots, irrevocably breaking the back of the German fighter defense. The reckless general's decision had paid off with stunning speed. By March 1944, American fighters were roaming with near impunity over the Reich. They weren't just escorting bombers. They were operating as an offensive force, attacking fuel depots and paralyzing German air movement. The total strategic victory of Doolittle's tactics was realized on June 6, 1944. The success of the D-Day landings depended absolutely on Allied air superiority. When the invasion fleet sailed toward Normandy, there was almost zero effective Luftwaffe interference. The skies above the beaches were quiet, secured by the blood and boldness of the P-51 pilots. In just 6 weeks, from the terror of January to the overwhelming success of Big Week in February, Doolittle's strategic masterstroke had fundamentally won the air war. The fate of the ground war, from the Battle of Germany to the defeat of the German army, was sealed in the clouds. The P-51 Mustang, combined with the aggressive vision of one general, proved that the ultimate weakness of the German superweapon was not a flaw in its design, but the inability to control the skies above it. This is the definitive history of how World War II was won not on the beaches, but in the hostile, final frontier above them.